Now there is something happening in the old RuneScape economy I've not seen in a long time. And it really stems from one thing that Jagex is doing that's a positive, and that is they appear to be banning a lot of bots, or at least at very popular locations for heavily botted items. Let's take a look. Now this originally jumped on my radar because of one item, the blood shard, and it has actually remained at an all-time high for the entire month of July and even June. Look how expensive this item is compared to where it was last year, tripled in price in September, which is unheard of. This is such an easy moneymaker to bot, and the fact that the bots have not swarmed to this like bees on, I don't know what the bees like, pollen, bees like pollen. The point is that not only has Jagex banned these in somewhat a large wave, they've continuously been able to keep them down as well. So that was the first item I noticed, but this month there's another huge price change in another item very similar, the Enhanced Crystal Teleport Seed. Now rest in peace for the 1,000 teleport seeds I had earlier this year, but this month alone they've jumped up from under 2 mil to nearly 4 mil. Actually, they surpassed it a few days ago, so over doubling in price from another one of the most popular heavily botted moneymakers. Right now this is actually over a 4 mil per hour skilling money making method once again, which is amazing. I'm happy for people who get to do this now, even though I've pretty much done as much of it as I can. And it's not just two isolated items like this as well. It's pretty clear they've been targeting these places heavily and really trying to clear them out. Dragon Bones, for example, have jumped up a lot this month as well. They're up to 4,300 for regular Dragon Bones, which is an all-time high as far as historical prices go. And Superior Dragon Bones are back up to nearly 20,000 GP again, doubling since May. So places like Vorkath, Green Dragons are getting hit pretty hard. Chinchompas are another place that are very heavily botted, and you can see that chins are up nearly double as well in the last couple of months. Red chins are up to 2,000 each. Black chins hit nearly 5k this month. I can already hear them now. It's like, no, my range training, my prayer training is more expensive. That's true, but you're also able to make more money with these methods, and it's way healthier for the game to not have bots a part of it, so it's a sacrifice we're all gonna have to make, because it's across the board a good thing. Zulrah has also seen a huge jump up in price this month. The Toxic Blowpipe has gone from 2.2 mil up to 4.4 mil earlier this month, literally doubling in price. Scales are up a ton as well, nearly up to 200 GP per scale. Cannonballs are even up a fair bit as well, doubling in June. So it definitely seems like a lot of items are rising up this week. It's kind of like how HelloFresh drops new menu items every week. Today's video sponsor. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit for a reason. It takes all the stress out of cooking. Instead of having to plan meals, shop, look up recipes, go outside, HelloFresh does all that for you. All you have to do is open your box of pre-portioned ingredients and start cooking. Last week I ate a fig Newton and hummus as a snack. It was pretty much an all-time low as far as my snacking career goes. But now with HelloFresh, I can choose from over 50 menu items, and you also receive a continuous supply of free appetizers with your boxes. Each meal is incredibly straightforward to make and can be cooked in under 30 minutes. From grilled pork chops to vegetarian meals to keto meals, there's a bit of everything for everyone. So I would highly recommend checking out HelloFresh. With Deadman Mode in full swing, now is a great time to have some easy to cook meals ready to go. Click the link in my description to use my code FlippingJUL10 and you'll get 10 free meals plus free appetizers for life. You'll get 1 appetizer per box while your subscription is active if you're in the US. Outside the US, the local discount will apply. And thank you so much to HelloFresh for sponsoring. And if we look at the botting index on GE Tracker, we can see that across a wide variety of heavily botted items, they're up about 30 points or 30-40% on average, which is really exciting to see. And if you look at gold prices, and I don't usually like going to these websites because what if someone looks at my browser history? The price of Oldschool RuneScape gold is actually on the rise as far as its cost in US dollars, which is probably the most definitive proof that bots are being banned unless gold is coming to the game. Now another heavily botted place I think has been hit pretty hard with the ban hammer. Barrows armor is up a significant amount, not only this month but over the last quarter. The Drock armor set in total is up to 7.4 mil. That's super expensive. I can't remember another time. Yeah, Hasn't even been close to being that expensive, which is great because now Barrows is actually a decent, legitimate mid-game moneymaker. Before, it was kind of just terrible. Arams is also up to nearly 8 mil for the entire set, which is also pretty cool to see. Zenyte shards have also continued to power upwards, reaching 20 mil at the beginning of July. Crazy. I can't remember the last time Zenyte shard has been that high. Well, turns out almost never. So now demonic gorillas are a good moneymaker as well. And because of that, the amulet of torture, anguish, and suffering, and the last Zenyte I always forget, tormented bracelet, they're all up to 20 mil plus as well. Sunfire splinters have also recovered a lot this month. They were down to as low as 400 GP in June, but they shot back up to 800 plus. I mean, they are still fluctuating a lot. This is one of the most popular botted moneymakers right now, but it's obviously making a difference. And that's not to mention that huge swaths of bots are getting banned on the high scores as well, so they're clearly doing a good job. So these are the highest prices we've seen for these items, and I wouldn't expect them to keep going up. I'm already incredibly impressed that Jagex has managed to do so much already. But historically, Jagex is normally reacting to what bots do, so probably in the near future, bots will come back with a vengeance, hit these now incredibly profitable methods hard. Who knows, that's just my assumption. Now, heavily botted items are doing well, but if you look at the rest of the economy, overall things have been trending downwards. Now, as many of you know, Deadman Mode Armageddon is in full swing, and historically, leading up to these updates, the market would crash or at least fall a bit in anticipation. This is because often people would sell their expensive gear off to have money to swap over to Deadman Mode, but I wouldn't say definitively that that is what we're seeing this time. There's not a huge obvious sell-off right before the game mode releases, but that's not to say there aren't items going down. There are, but I don't know if it's directly linked to Deadman Mode. I mean, just looking at the mega rares to begin with, which are pretty common items to sell, the shadow is going down, and there's no doubt about that, but I think that's more due to the purple drop mechanics from TOA, more so than Deadman Mode. On the day of release, you can see it hardly dropped at all, just kind of a normal fluctuation. The scythe is also trending downwards this month, but it had just reached an all-time high of 1.4 bill. We haven't seen the scythe at that price in a long time, so even though it has dropped a bit, looking at the beginning of the year, it's pretty much like nothing. So it hasn't even reached May levels as far as the price goes. The Twisted Bow didn't drop at all really, and has held close to 1.7 bill for the last few months, which is quite impressive. There's a long list of items that have trended down this month, like the Eldritch Orb going from 369 down to 305. But looking back a little further, you can see that that's pretty much just returning to a similar level it's been since the beginning of the year. Big Asian boots are trending downwards, but once again, they had already peaked really hard in July. So all things considered, I don't think very much has changed due to Deadman Mode. Now this month we also did get one big update while Gothic sleeps, and compared to most larger updates, there weren't actually that many new items added, really only two, the Tormented Synapse and the Burning Claws. Now the Tormented Synapse has had a bit of a roller coaster, as most new items do, but even more so because of how many changes Tormented Demons are receiving. They've been fluctuating up and down all week, and started the week at 80 mil, and now we're down to 60 mil. But in that time, the drop table for Tormented Demons has been changed and buffed. Now you get a little bit more as far as regular loot. The drop rates for Burning Claws have been increased, and they might nerf them as well. And that's not to mention that many of the mechanics and even new items have been bugged to not work correctly, so I think there's still a lot of price discovery going on here as changes come through. But right now, the Tormented Synapse is holding steady around 60 mil, and Burning Claws have fallen a fair bit to 20 mil. Now because the best in slot item to use for Tormented Demons is the new Demon Bane weapons, TDs haven't really affected the price of too many other items, but a few other ones that I did notice got a huge bump up. The Ceridoma Godsword, which is a popular weapon to sustain there when the caverns were so swamped, capped out from players, but the Ceridoma Godsword went up to nearly 50 mil right around the release of While Gothic Sleeps, but has pretty quickly returned back to its original price. Missouri Armor also saw a bit of a jump up, going from 180 up to 210. And an interesting one is actually the Abyssal Dagger, which jumped up quite a lot once more of the mechanics for Tormented Demons were discovered. Abyssal weapons bypass the flame shield or something. You literally need an encyclopedia, a bachelor degree to understand Tormented Demons. I don't know why they're so complicated. Now, one interesting thing that happened right at the end of June is they finally put some requirements on zombie pirates. The requirement they added was the medium wilderness diary, and that was enough to vastly deter bots, or at least slow them down. And you can see how quickly the price of the uniques jumped up. Zombie keys immediately doubled in price, and the other unique, the teleport anchoring scroll, went from 600k up to 6 mil, 10 times in value from this requirement being added. The amount traded went from 600 per day down to like 200. Now, as for the price of bonds, there's not a whole lot new to mention. The price is just still pretty rapidly increasing. This quarter alone, it's gone from about 10 mil each on average up to 14 mil on average. So clearly, even though they are banning a lot of bots, the amount of gold is still at an all-time high. There's no doubt about it. Sure, things like temporary game modes like Deadman Mode can push the price of bonds upwards, but it's just been a slow burn. There's no huge spike here. Bonds are just getting more expensive. A lot of high-end gear is just getting more expensive. There's just so much gold in the game. I don't see the trajectory of this item changing anytime soon. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for the market analysis. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.